Victor Gyokeres or Benjamin Sesko? This is a question I've been getting a lot recently with this renewed interest in Victor Gyokeres, first reported by David Ornstein, and it's got me excited either way. I think it's a really interesting thing to talk about, so we're going to get into it. Now, if you've watched the channel for a while, you will know I was captaining the Victor Gyokeres steam train for the entirety of last summer. Have things changed since then? Do I now prefer Benjamin Sesko? We're about to find out. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. If you could like the video as well, it does massively help. We're trying to get back on the horse. Views are pretty low since I've come back. Serves me right for taking a break. But we're back on it. So we'll start with really what David Ornstein said, which has kind of kicked this all off. This was a few days ago. Arsenal developing strong interest in Victor Gyokeres as a possible striker signing. Andrea Berta is a firm admirer of the 26-year-old sporting forward and is expected to figure prominently among Arsenal options and maybe more realistic than Alexander Isak. And all of the noise around Gyökeres has been about Andrea Berta. This was a player that ultimately we looked at a lot last year. Again, you'll remember on the streams, we've been scouting him a lot and fundamentally decided that he wasn't the guy for us. We ended up pursuing Benjamin Sesko, and it seemed like that was still the plan until Andrea Berta came in. So he is definitely the one driving this. On Isak, David Ornstein actually yesterday said Newcastle have no intention of selling Isak. The price, if there was to be one, would be extortionate for any suitor, and there's no doubting his quality, and the admiration doesn't go away from both Arsenal and Liverpool, but ultimately we may have to consider alternative options because of how expensive it would be. And so that's what we're doing in this video. I really don't think we're going to get Isak. I've said it repeatedly that I don't think Isak goes anywhere this summer, especially now that Newcastle look in a good position to get Champions League football and they've won a trophy. So, Gyökeres or Benjamin Sesko? It is super interesting because on one hand, you've got Victor Gyokeres, and we will start with Victor Gyokeres. We've got the trusty FOTMob. We've got the greenery. Now, Victor Gyokeres is 26 years old. He's turning 27 in June, so he'd be 27 come the summer. The numbers he's putting up, I mean, look at this. Look at this. This is a remarkable web. But the numbers he's putting up this season: 30 goals and 6 assists in 24 starts in the Portuguese league. 36 contributions in 24 starts. That is 3 goal contributions every 2 games. 1.5 goal contributions a game. That's almost unprecedented. Like, that is unbelievable numbers to be putting up. And I mean, you look at this, his recent form is just absolutely, it's not even greenery anymore. It's bluery. Bluery? That can't be right. But he's doing it. This is what he's doing. Now, interestingly, and I do think this is interesting, when you look at where his goals are coming from, 12 of them from the penalty spot. That is one thing that a lot of people are highlighting. 12 goals from the penalty spot. You're not going to get that, most likely, at Arsenal. I don't think we've ever had a season where we've got 12 penalties. What you would like is the fact that he scored 12 from 12. So it's another penalty taker to add to the mix. But let's take those away. Take them away, because penalties don't count. They do count, but for some people, they don't. Okay, then. Now he's down to 18 goals, 18 non-penalty goals in 24 starts. That's still ridiculous. So we can take the penalties away. What I actually think is a more interesting thing to look at when you look at his goals is this. None of them have come with his head. He has not scored a headed goal this season. And it's one of the things both with Sesko and Victor Gyokeres, which is a little bit of a misconception, which is that they're kind of, because they're big strikers, they're big aerial threats. Actually, neither of them are. And Victor Gyokeres certainly isn't. Now, it's also to do with the way that Sporting play. They're not a team that particularly puts crosses in an awful lot. But he's had 14 headers inside the box. He's not scored any of them. And as well, of his 30 goals, 28 of them with his right foot. And also, if we look at all of his goals, just 2 from outside the box. And even then, they are only just outside the box. But this is good. This is good because this is where our striker will spend the majority of his time. We know that. We know that we create enough chances. You look at the number of goals. Mikel Merino has outscored Diogo Jota Darwin Núñez already because we create so many chances. If you get someone in the box that knows how to put the ball in the back of the net, you're laughing. And Victor Gyokeres knows how to do that. Some people talk about the amount of space that he gets in the Portuguese league. Fair enough. I hear it. He gets a fair amount of space in the Portuguese league. Does he get that much space in the Champions League? Because he's got 6 goals in the Champions League this season from 8 games? I'm not even sure if he started all 8 of those games. 600 minutes. 6 goals in 600 minutes in the Champions League this season. So one of them was from the penalty spot, or maybe 2 of them were from the penalty spot. Again, no headers. But ultimately, you are talking about an elite finisher. You are talking about someone who knows where to be, when to be there, and ultimately has something that I don't think can be taught. And that is, quite simply, an eye for goal. He just puts the ball in the back of the net. This season, in all competitions, 42 goals in 42 games with 10 assists on top of it. He has somehow outperformed last season, which was an unbelievable season in itself. He's doing this for Sweden as well. So he's proving it at an international level, which helps, although I don't take much notice of it. And ultimately, as I said on the thumbnail, this is your win now player. This is the player that you bring in because you want to win next season. Arsenal look at it, we go, Liverpool have got work to do, might not have Salah, got to replace Trent, probably can't have as much fortune with injuries as they have done this season. And Man City will still be parting or building in their rebuild. Great English. They'll still be rebuilding. So we might look at it and we go, win now next season. He's proven himself in England. That's the other thing people talk about. Can he handle the physicality of the Premier League? Yes, he's a very, very physical striker. I don't worry about that. And the other thing, when people talk about running into space, in fact, there's 2 things. There's 2 things when people talk about, well, he gets so much space to run into in the Portuguese league. He does. He does. He would get some of that in the Premier League. We are not a team that never, ever has a transition. It's just that when we do have those transitions, we don't have great transitional players. That's the truth. Like, Kai Havertz isn't great in transitions. Victor Gyokeres is a lot better. So he will get some of those opportunities, not as many as he gets at Sporting. But also, this was something that was used against Erling Haaland. Now, Victor Gyokeres is not of Erling Haaland's level. I am not saying that. But it was something that was said of Erling Haaland at Borussia Dortmund. Man City don't get that space. Because Dortmund quite often would get space in behind that he'd run into. You'd see lots of goals like that from Erling Haaland. He joined the Premier League and in his first season, he broke the goal-scoring record. So, yes, it's a potential problem. There are no strikers that don't come with potential problems. Even if you go for the dream signing of Isak, there's the potential injury concerns that he has. There's no perfect striker. But I think Victor Gyokeres comes in and scores a lot of goals. That is fundamentally, we get the ball to him in the box a lot. He scores goals. He holds off defenders. He turns. He shoots. You know, I am not worried about him scoring goals. For me, the question is long-term. Is he your long-term striker? And that is where you're more likely to be looking at a Benjamin Sesko. A Benjamin Sesko is someone that has an incredibly high ceiling, but is only 21 years old. He'll be 22 in the summer, so he'd be 22 by the time he joined us. Now, from what I can tell, this is a player that we were more interested in before Andrea Berta came. Definitely seemed like it. Obviously, he's primarily a striker. Very tall, 6'5", unbelievable jump on him. You know, that picture that always goes around of that control where he's, I don't know, about a meter off the ground. More than that. I don't know. He's unbelievable athletically. He's faster than Victor Gyokeres. He is absolutely faster than Victor Gyokeres. But he's nowhere near as prolific. That's the reality. He has also started 24 games in the league this season. And where Victor Gyokeres had scored 30, Benjamin Sesko has scored 10. Right? So realistically, he is not as prolific yet. He's not as prolific yet. But that's fine. He's 21 years old. Across the season, in all competitions, if we go down to the Scroll down to the bottom through that greenery. 17 goals, 6 assists in 38 games. But what I quite like about Sesko, and I do think this is important, is that for someone of his age, at 19 playing for Salzburg, he scored 18 goals. At 20 playing for Leipzig, moving up to the Bundesliga, first season there, he scored 18 goals. At 21, Bundesliga, he's up to 17 goals. Will more than likely break his own goal-scoring record, personal goal-scoring record this season. There's improvement there. There's a level of numbers there that the majority of strikers of his age simply don't hit, factually. I think Erling Haaland, other than Erling Haaland, the last striker to hit 100 professional goals before the age of 21 or before turning 22, I can't remember. I think it was in like the noughties. It was that far away. So he gets far fewer chances than Victor Gyokeres as well. This is something that you have to bear in mind. He's had 53 shots this season. I think Victor Gyokeres has had about 90. Victor Gyokeres has scored 30. So Victor Gyokeres averages about a goal every 3 shots, just over 3 shots. For Sesko, it's more like a goal every 5 shots. So Gyökeres is more clinical by that metric. He's only scored 1 penalty relative to the 12 that Victor Gyokeres has scored. Again, by the way, only 2 headed goals. For a guy that's 6'5" and has the jump that Benjamin Sesko has, only 2 headed goals. And again, both of them, both Gyökeres and Sesko, are good at holding the ball up, which is really what we'd be looking for. Not prolific in the air. Not necessarily a problem, though. He has deceptively quick feet. He's decent with the ball at his feet. Like I said, he's quicker. In transitions, he will be quicker. But if your argument about Gyökeres is that we don't get enough transitional space, well, then Sesko being that much quicker isn't a huge advantage. And so for Sesko, you're less likely to win next season with Sesko. He's less likely to come in, hit the ground running. He's less likely to get as many goals next season as Victor Gyokeres probably would. But he may well have a higher ceiling. You look at what Gyökeres was doing at 21. I mean, had he even moved to Coventry at that point? Not sure. Sesko has a huge ceiling. And that is why I think the recruitment team had landed on him. They looked at his raw attributes in terms of the height, the speed, the power. I mean, the way he hits a ball is unbelievable. And they probably looked at that and thought that long term, you bring him in for 50, 60 million. I think it's about 60 million, the release clause. You'll sell him on for more. Victor Gyokeres is going to be a similar price. But by the time his first contract is coming towards an end, he'll be pushing 30 or in his 30s. That's a lot more difficult to make a profit on. The one thing with Sesko, right, and this is where I think it's genuinely very, very difficult to know what to do with Benjamin Sesko, is if we don't bring him in next season, if we don't bring him in this summer, he will go to another Premier League club. I'm almost certain of it. He'll go to Chelsea, he'll go to Liverpool, and he might not hit the ground running. But in a couple of seasons' time, 2-3 seasons' time, he could very easily be another Isak situation where he has hit his potential. And then Arsenal fans, certain Arsenal fans, would be looking back going, should have got Sesko. We were in for Sesko. We had the chance to get Sesko. Should have got him. And so you lose. But equally, if we bring him in and he doesn't hit the ground running next season, in that season, those same people will be saying, shouldn't have got Sesko. Shouldn't have got Sesko. Needed a win now player. And so it's almost like there's the potential for a lose-lose if whatever decision you make on Sesko. The only way you win is if you bring in Sesko and he hits the ground running next season and you win something big next season. And that's difficult. And there's no guarantee that that happens. I think you're closer to guaranteeing it happens if you go and get Gyökeres. But then again, equally, if you get Gyökeres and he doesn't hit the ground running, and then going into the next season, you're talking about a 28-year-old that maybe couldn't make the step up, and maybe it was that the Portuguese league flattered him. That leaves you in a worse position. So I don't envy the people making choices. And the crazy thing is, it really does seem like Arteta wants Alexander Isak. So you've got Isak, Arteta. You've got Andrea Berta, who now wants Victor Gyokeres. And you've got Jason Ato and the recruitment team, and previously Edu, who want Benjamin Sesko. So you've got these kind of three different powers within the club, and all three of them really want a different striker. And it will be interesting to see who comes out on top. Now, like I said, Sesko, Gyökeres, they're both going to be release clauses. So they shouldn't be difficult to do. We should find out quite easily which player ultimately we wanted, and therefore which person came out the most powerful. Now, the one thing I don't want us to do is to chase Alexander Isak all summer and end up missing out on both Šeško and Gyökeres. That is the absolute worst case scenario. But I'm interested. I'm interested to know, who would you go for? Who is your number one? Are we still on the Gyökeres steam train? Or have we pivoted to Benjamin Sesko? For me, I'm still on the Victor Gyokeres steam train because I want to win something next season. And I really do think there will be a big opportunity to win the Premier League next season. So I'm going Victor Gyokeres. Let me know yours in the comments. If you've enjoyed the video, please do like, please do subscribe. And yeah, I'm enjoying making these videos again. Feels good. Also, streams are going to be coming back. Twitch streams are going live every night at about 10:30 on Twitch. We're playing probably Verdansk at the moment, the new Warzone, the old Warzone. And we've also got the Big Up streams. We'll be live tonight, depending on when you're watching this. Thursday night, we're live on Big Up, link in the description, for Chelsea versus Spurs. And then we will also be live on Saturday for Arsenal versus Everton away at Goodison Park. Be interesting to see what the lineup is for that. But otherwise, look, I appreciate you watching the video. If you've made it to this point, you're an absolute legend. I hope you have a fantastic day, evening, night, wherever it is that you are. And until next time, goodbye.